Hello and welcome back to our campus ministry show. I'm Father Stephen Logue, chaplain of Lancaster Catholic High School and host of your show. Today we're talking about something exciting, and that is the different ways in which we prepare for Christmas in the season of Advent. The little traditions that we have, what they mean, why we do them, where they came from, all that fun stuff. So we're going to start first and foremost with probably the most famous Advent tradition, and that is the Advent Wreath. The symbols of evergreens and candles, things like that, have been associated with winter in Northern Europe especially for hundreds and thousands of years. Because in the winter it's cold, it's dark, and everything dies. So having a plant that seems to live through winter and having a little way to bring some light into your life is a little sign of hope that maybe this winter is going to end and we're going to get out of it and things are going to grow again and it won't be so cold anymore and bleak. So those were easily adopted into Christian symbols of the wreath and the candles. Now, that's not the only meaning behind them. The wreath itself has a meaning of eternity. It's a circle, it has no beginning or end, like God doesn't have a beginning or end. It has that same significance of the greenery before Christ, but with a new meaning behind it. And that is, when all the world seems dead, these green plants represent that life will come back in the spring. But that same symbol of life for us means that when we seem to die, that's not the end, and there is life after death. The candle is associated with Christ easily when Jesus says, "I am the light of the world." So when the rest of the world goes dark, when the days get shorter and shorter and darker, we are invited by the church to remember the time when all of Israel, all of the world was waiting for a Redeemer and waiting for hope and clinging to whatever light they could. And so now when all the rest of the lights in the world fail us, Christ is the light that doesn't fail us. And so we have the light to remind us of that. We have the greenery to remind us of life. We have the circular nature of the wreath to remind us of God's eternity. And finally, why do we have 4 candles? Why do we have different colored candles? Well, each of the 4 candles represents each of the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas, and each of the 4 Sundays. We have 4 Sundays in Advent preparing us. The colors just come from the liturgical color that we wear. We wear purple throughout most of Advent, but on the one Sunday, the third Sunday, we wear rose or pink to represent the joy. It's sort of the same reason we wear purple in Lent to prepare for Easter. Advent is a season of preparation, and that one little bit of rose is like, have hope, it's almost here. And that's exactly what that candle means. The 3 candles, 3 purple candles represent hope, peace, and then we light the one for joy, and then love. So hope, peace, joy, and love, all things we should keep in mind as we prepare for the coming of Christ at Christmas. And some people even include a 5th candle, a white candle, because the color that we wear during masses at Christmas time is not red or green or purple, it's white. So the white candle represents Christmas, that we've made it in the end. Now, the next big symbol that we frequently have in Advent is the Advent calendar. And this is a lot of fun. When I was a kid, I always had like the Lego Advent calendars. Open it, build a different Lego set each day. I wasn't really into candy that much. I was a weird kid. So the Lego one was what worked for me. And it's pretty easy to see how this is a development from the tradition of like having a calendar up on your wall and a big important date circled, and then you each day cross off a date as you get closer and closer to the big date. That's exactly what we're doing with an Advent calendar, counting down. But I think the important thing that an Advent calendar can teach us and can remind us is that as we're waiting for Christmas, as we're waiting for Jesus' coming, that celebration at December 25th, there's something that we can be doing each day in preparation for that. Our waiting for Jesus' arrival to celebrate it at Christmas is like our waiting for his second coming, either at the end of our lives or at the end of time. But either way, there's something we can be doing each and every day in preparation for that. And that simple action of opening a calendar, making sure we do it each day, is a good reminder of doing something to lead us towards Christ each day and to prepare us for him each day. Now, the third tradition is one that's less well known, but I did it with my family when I was a kid, so I'm partial to it, and that is the Jesse tree. The Jesse tree is a series of ornaments that you put on the tree each day in preparation for Christmas. Now, you can use your big official family Christmas tree, but we would have a small artificial tree that was just for the Jesse tree. So each day we would open the ornament for that day and read a little bit about it and hang it on the tree. Now, what's the pattern of these ornaments? Well, the ornaments take you through salvation history. They take you through the Old Testament, the important events, and help remind you how God was planning and preparing for the coming of Christ. One of the early ones is usually something to represent Adam and Eve. So either an apple or maybe a fig leaf or something to remind us of them, a tree. Then you have either a rainbow or an ark for Noah. You have something to represent David. You have something to represent Solomon. And one of the important ones, and the one from which the tree gets its name, is a stump or a little log with a shoot coming out of it, a branch. And that is from the prophecy that a shoot shall arise from the stump of Jesse. That this line of kings seemed to be dead, but that it was going to come back, and it was going to come back in Jesus. The most important thing, and I think the beautiful thing about a Jesse tree, is that it reminds you that all along throughout salvation history, God was working to prepare his people for the coming of the Messiah. Even when they didn't understand what he was doing or why he was doing it or why he was allowing it, he was at work to bring them to that important moment. And that's a good thing to remember in each of our lives. Maybe we don't understand why this is happening, why God's letting this happen, why we have to face this. But at some point, we're going to be able to look at it from that broad perspective that God sees, and we're going to see how it all makes sense, how God was allowing things and permitting things and bringing us to places intentionally to lead us to where we need to be, which is eternal life with Christ. So, whatever method you use to prepare for the coming of Christmas, whether it's the Advent wreath, the Advent calendar, or the Jesse tree, use it, embrace it, celebrate it, share it with others, share it with your family and friends, and let it be a guide for you in preparing for Christmas and ultimately impacting how we prepare to meet Christ in eternity. So, with that being said, happy Advent, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. God bless.